guy from New York. It's a show that just realized we don't have any Super Bowl bets on the board. Outside of, like, your actual betting, but show bets.
Oh, we
Then
do.
I'm going to start kicking them around.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because we were betting
I'm down.
Seafood Towers.
Well, I mean, the
you got a
fate
steak
of the
dinner.
doorstep of destiny.
That's not a bet. That's just kind of like
Well,
a show
I
segment.
bet you if the Patriots lose, Brew and I beat that thing with sledgehammers.
That's going to be
Nick
great.
can't wait. I guess this is a yearly. This is the 1 year for that segment. Like the bulletin board goes on the road, just goes year after year. The doorstep of destiny.
well, once
is
we're
one-
But
there,
if they-
we've kind of
no,
arrived.
If they win, Brew, it lives forever.
Oh wow!
If
If
they-
become doorstep of a dynasty, then probably.
Maybe.
If they win, it stays
But this
forever.
is not a bet, is what I'm saying. We need to get a bet. Like
You know what I'm in for.
shaving your head.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
And
You're
if
dying to shave
if
your head.
someone else will meet the stakes. If you really want to feel alive,
I don't
KW,
want to shave my
watching. I know, watching the Patriots in the Super Bowl, where you know if they win, your team wins. Your boys are lifelong diehard Pats fans by being bonded by a championship, and if they lose, not only is there devastation, but you have to show up Monday with a shaved head.
I don't think that would
You
look good or
will
be
you
good
will
for
feel
anybody.
alive,
It'd be a
buddy.
great show.
I would- you know what
For
I would do?
that one show, it'd be great.
I would take my
After that,
hairpiece off like the boxer. We're starting with Drake's shoulder. He's feeling better, thank goodness. Here's how he's done this postseason. Not great. 334 yards and a double-digit victory against the Chargers, but still turned the ball over twice. Against the Texans, he threw for 3 touchdowns, but again, coughed it up there. And against Denver, got the win, but it was like a snowstorm out there. And like, what are we supposed to do? It was like a scene from Elf, except everyone was, you know, a professional football player. It
just like
wasn't.
Elf.
It wasn't a snowball fight. Is he due for a monster game?
No. He doesn't really, as excellent as he was this year, there weren't many monster games. The game against Baltimore was the only 300-yard game of his entire career. And there's a Jets game, like the Jets, he had 5 touchdowns.
That was a stat padding game.
And
I think I could throw for 1.
and so he had, you know, he was surgically efficient and early in the year, surgically efficient plus incredibly explosive. Late in the year, less explosive, still very efficient. And you can't really find a slice of football where Drake this season was bad. But there is a pretty clear, you know, demarcation between when he was excellent and when he was solid. And that is where who you were playing came into play. So Drake this year against playoff teams, including the playoff games, is one thing I want to show you, which is, again, the team record, very good. Team points per game, that's above league average. That's solid.
Team points per game. I mean, a lot of that is like we lit up the Panthers, though, right?
I mean, that's only one of 7 games. I mean, you played 7, you know, so no. But 8 total touchdowns in 7 games, 200 pass yards per game in 7 games, a 95 passer rating. That's not explosive. That's not a monster game. And then when you see where he did have his monster games, you guys played 6 games this year against teams that are drafting in the top 6. And those were the huge stat games. Now, the right-hand column, that is a level good enough to win on Sunday, just to be clear. The right-hand column is everybody else.
The others, yeah.
Yeah, the 235 yards, 1.5 touchdowns to 1 pick is essentially, 2 touchdowns to 1 pick, 102 rating. That's all really good, but that wouldn't be a monster game. And so I just think, and that is Brew without even factoring in, Seattle has an argument that it's the best defense they will have faced.
Yes.
And
Do you think the Seattle defense is better than the Texans defense?
So here's the thing. I think it's different. I think the way they are successful is different. But that game that you love that he played against the Texans defense involved him completing 55% of his passes and less than 200 total yards and 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
So now he did have 3
But
touchdowns.
I think the Texans, I felt like the
some big
Texans
moments.
were by far and away the best defense in the league. And
the stats don't
and we
say
beat
they
them,
were.
and then all of a sudden it's like, the Seahawks are actually the best.
No, I don't think there was a far and away best
Right.
defense in the league. I think that the Texans felt utterly going into that Pats game because the offense had gone into a coma for them, and their defense had been awesome in the first playoff game, and the Seahawks were off that week. The Seahawks in Week 18 held the Niners to 3 points and then didn't play in first round of the playoffs, and then Week 2 of the playoffs allowed 6 points. So I think Texans, Broncos, Seahawks were all in the mix throughout the year as the best defense in football. So I just don't think it's a monster game, bro.
You're
You're
still open
well,
to.
it's a check mark in the Seahawks corner. Those graphics were pretty informative.
Wow, I'm really moving through.
that we won most of the games?
That Drake doesn't cook against good teams. That's what those graphics show. That he cooks against the tomato cans.
Well, yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, the Browns defense.
All I'm
sure.
saying is it's a check mark in the Seahawks corner. That's it.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
still gathering info. You got to step it up, though, because Nick is coming hard. What do we believe in, though, on this side of the desk?
Due dates.
Due dates.
Big
That's
time.
right.
Pregnancies, all over it.
He is due. I mean, his last big. Now, I would say I was more impressed with him against the Texans. I know he had the 2 fumbles, lost 4 total. He had the interceptions, but he did throw for 3 touchdowns. Didn't throw for 200 yards. So
And he
he
didn't
had
run much.
big
And he ran for
moments.
10 yards. He had less
Right.
than 200 total yards in that.
But I thought at times he was impressive. But the bottom line is that was not a monster game. And what you want from him is a monster game that's clean. So you want him to be clean. I actually think being clean without a monster game is the most important thing, because I don't see a shootout. I would love to see a shootout. I see, though, a lower scoring game where they're really battling it out for the whole 60 minutes. And if he's clean, that'll be huge for them. But the bad news, Wilds, is this. The Seahawks don't really give up monster games.
Correct.
Outside of Matthew Stafford.
And Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 guys all year.
Stafford and Baker are the only 2 to have a 100 passer rating or better. Stafford's the only one to throw for 3 touchdowns or more than 2 touchdowns against them in a game this season. So they just don't give up monster games. That's the bad news. The good news is that, look, Drake was right there with Stafford all year. He's in the MVP conference. They're the 2 MVP front runners.
Yeah.
So if one could have a monster game against them, you would think the other one is capable of doing it. So I'm open to it. I think he's got a chance to do it. And if it's a shootout, Nick, I think he can have a monster game. Win or lose, if they are both putting up a ton of points, then I think Drake he can match Darnold throw for throw, yard for yard, touchdown for touchdown. But it's going to be tough against that defense.
A shootout would be shocking. I think Vegas has the over-under. I've seen 46.
46.
I've seen
I would be
45.
surprised by
So a
one.
shootout would be shocking. You don't buy there were Drake and Matthew Stafford were 1-2 in MVP or 2-1, however you want to look at it. They were the peers in the cream of the crop of the NFL, and one guy lit up this defense. So the other guy might also be successful against this defense?
I think it's kind of a false choice, because I think you're asking me to say I believe something that I don't think you, the Patriot fan, believe, which is I don't think you believe that the Patriots' path to victory is Drake Maye having a monster game. I do think the Patriots can win, but I also think Stafford had 3 significant advantages against Seattle that Drake doesn't have. One is raw experience in the league, 17 years in, having seen every type of defense one can see. The other one is experience against that specific opponent, being a divisional opponent. He played twice last year, twice this year, and then once again in the playoffs. And the third one was Stafford's season was littered with monster games. Stafford, if we were to say, hey, Stafford and Drake Maye, put their 10 biggest combined, the 10 biggest games those guys had this season, and rank them, I bet it would be 7 Stafford games and 3 Drake Maye games, maybe 8 Stafford and 2. Which is not to say Drake didn't have an MVP case, because if you're like, hey, show me the 6 worst games these two guys had,
Yeah.
it'd be 5 Stafford and 1 Drake Maye. Drake was just incredibly
Steady.
metronomically efficient and steady. So I don't think monster game is the Patriots' path. I also
So
think
you think they can't win a shootout?
I can't is too strong. It is not what I would say their path forward would be. Also, this was that side of the desk very recently loved them some completion percentage. These playoffs, we have not heard much about completion percentage because your guy is completing 55% of his passes, which is below the Caleb Williams line for the year. That was the big knock. Is
that true?
Much below, yes.
But part of it also
much below?
is...
I think Caleb was 59%.
Yeah, for the
55%
season,
would have been the
58,
lowest
59.
in the league this
Oh, my
year.
goodness.
He hasn't had and that's not one bad playoff game dragging it down. He doesn't have a single playoff game at 60. So, like, and no matter how much better it feels, shoulder's a little banged up to some degree. There's just not a lot of reason for me to believe that you're about to have what would be objectively the best or second best game of his entire career in this spot against this defense.
What do you consider a monster game? Would 3 touchdowns be a monster
Yeah,
game?
3
I would
touchdowns
say-
and more than 250 yards.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he throws for 254
And
and
3
3 touchdowns,
touchdowns,
no picks,
That's a monster game. Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be 300 yards. No,
Yeah, 300 yards.
Right,
He's only done that
300
once
yards
in his
plus
career.
and 2 touchdowns, or 250 plus and 3 touchdowns, assuming there's not a bunch of turnovers with it. That'd be a
Right.
monster
Yeah,
game.
regular season averaged a little under 260. So 300 yards would be a lot, especially against this defense. But
Yeah.
I still feel
He
pretty
just doesn't
confident.
do that
Maybe
generally.
2 touchdowns. Maybe 2. Just 2. James
Might need
Harden
more.
looking for a new team again. Now the Clippers have been rolling of late. They're 15-5 in their last 20. But Harden, according to Mark Stein, is looking for a contract extension, bro. Yeah. He signed a 2-year, $82 million extension in the offseason. Cavs are supposedly interested. There's some Garland talk. Your reaction to this latest Harden trade demand, and we go through this about every 18 months or
Correct.
It really.
This around.
And because people have been shocked, they woke up, oh my gosh, wow, that Harden, they might trade him. Like you said, they're cooking. I think 17-4 going into last night over the last 21 games. Harden's playing great. And I hate to say it, but this is just the typical, he wants a new contract. He has 1 year left on his deal at about $40-something million. It's a player option. He's clearly gone to them and been like, I want a new contract. I'm going to opt out. I want a new contract. And if not, let's work on a trade. And so, look, they're not, as well as they're playing, they're not winning the championship this year. They're not getting out of the West. So if I'm the Clippers, Nick, and Darius Garland is the player in Cleveland. They're talking about 18 points, 6-7 assists a game. He's been injured, but if I could get him, he's locked up for 2 seasons after this one. For James Harden, who I'm not going to win the championship anyway, Harden's 36, Garland's 26. I'm doing it if I'm the Clippers.
100%.
Now, if I'm the Cavs,
Why?
For this season, they've had their issues in the playoffs. They haven't been tough enough, whatever. I get it. Harden's not the one to carry you in the postseason. But on that team, Mitchell, obviously, Donovan Mitchell's the number 1 guy. I mean, Mobley, you can argue, could be the number 2 guy. And then if you just need Harden to be that facilitator and, he's going to score his points, but it's really Mitchell and Mobley, then maybe you think, okay, take a shot. The problem is this, and I agree with you. I see your face over there, Nick.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to lock up. Like, there's no way before Thursday, if I'm Cleveland, I'm agreeing to James Harden with, we're going to give you 3 years, $120 million going forward or whatever. There's no way I do that. Look, if they were to trade for Harden, no contract extension in place, and it goes well for them in the playoffs. Harden's a great facilitator. Mitchell goes berserk. The bigs for Cleveland play well. And maybe they either get to the conference finals and lose in a tough series or get to the finals. Then I'll talk with James Harden about, okay, maybe we can do an extension. But there's no way I'm agreeing to that now, especially with Harden's record in the playoffs of not being at his best. So that's what's going on here. And I can't think of another team, Nick. I wouldn't have thought Cleveland, to be honest, but maybe Milwaukee. Let's see if this can keep Giannis here or something
I guess
like that.
Milwaukee, I wouldn't hate it because you're at that point, you're just, just firing off.
Just desperation.
Desperation, Hail Marys. Darius Garland has been banged up. That toe that he hurt seems to have really bedeviled him for multiple seasons. He's undersized. He's an imperfect player. I would not trade Darius Garland for James Harden under any circumstances. You know why? And I'm sorry to be harsh, but if anybody deserves it, and this is on the court, it's fair, it's this guy. All this guy does is quit on teams and fold in the playoffs. For a decade.
You used to be a huge fan.
I was correct. No, I was, when Brew and I first did any TV together, when this show first started, 2017, 2018, I argued prematurely, it was more of a projection, but I argued it. He's the best player ever without a ring. And his all-NBAs, his MVP finishes, scoring title, assist title, 36 a game, 34 a game in the regular season, that put him next to Karl Malone or Elgin or any of those guys. And eventually he'll get there. And since I started making that argument, he's quit on 4 teams and folded in 6 playoff series. A quick reminder, folks. He went to Houston. He got Dwight Howard. Didn't quite work. Got Chris Paul. That could have worked. They got a little unlucky with Chris's hamstring. He then wanted Chris out. They mortgage all the picks to bring in Russell Westbrook. That seems like it's working. Game 4 against the Lakers, 2 for 11. Season over, series over. And then James Harden's in a fat suit demanding a trade. Plays 2 games, quits on the court. They send him to Brooklyn. Brooklyn, it's scary hours time. That team can win. Kyrie turns his ankle. He hurts his hamstring. Comes back for Game 5, 1 for 10. Game 7 against Milwaukee, 5 for 17. Early next season, quits again.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Daryl saves him, brings him to Philly. That first playoff series, they have a Game 6 at home. Goes 4 for 16, then a 3 for 11 in Game 7. And then he goes to China and is like to a bunch of kids on an Adidas tour who I don't know how many spoke English. He's like, I want to make a statement. Daryl Morey's a liar and I'll never play for his team again. The Clippers trade for him. His first year with the Clippers in the playoffs. He goes 2 for 12 and then 5 for 16 in games 5 and 6. The Clippers swallow it. Then last year in Game 7 goes 2 for 8 and they give him an extension. Yeah. And the team is finally winning this year. Months after the extension, he doesn't show up for work in Phoenix, goes to an Arizona State basketball game 10 minutes from where his team is playing basketball. They call it personal reasons, and he demands a trade. You can't win with this guy. He's an all-time great player and an all-time great quitter and an all-time great choker. That is what his NBA legacy is. So you don't trade for him, Cleveland. Don't do that. It's a bad idea.
How about Washington?
Washington would be perfect. You don't have to worry about the playoffs. No. He can go there and average 28 and 8. I mean, it's very disappointing because I've said, and I stand by this, regular season.
Yes.
He is one of the handful of greatest players he's an all-time great scorer and an all-time great playmaker. Like, there are very few of those guys who's just a great passer, assist, setup guy, but also can average 30 plus. Mm-hmm. But the playoffs, Nick spelled it out, I
don't even mind if you choke in the playoffs. Like, hey, the stage is big.
But you can't. But no, that separates the great.
Bailing on teams is not like a pressure situation.
This one is really. I mean, they've all been bad, but this, the team is
team's winning, and the team
turned it around.
He's probably made $500 million in
his career. And the team is shocked. They're like, what? His own teammates are like, what's going on?
The money part of it is so. Listen, I understand he left money on the table with Brooklyn, with Philly, and he feels burnt. The guy made $1 bajillion from wine in China, and the Adidas deal is, I think, the 4th biggest basketball contract any player's ever gotten in the history of the league. He's close to $1 billion total in earnings.
It's the fourth. The Adidas deal?
When it happened, it was. Maybe it has since been.
I've yet to see someone wear a pair of Harden. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll give you $5.
A few of them have been fresh. A few of them have been fresh.
You can walk from here to the Statue of Liberty.
No, you won't. You
and
won't
call
see.
me if you see someone wearing a. Oh, you got new Hardens? What do they look like? Just draw one. Just draw one. Just draw one. If you're at home, just draw a pair of Hardens.
They got 3 stripes on them. That's all I know. That's all I know.
No, that's McGrady. Shoot.
Sorry. Go ahead.
The relationship between Belichick and Patriots owner Robert Kraft has been frosty, and now they've both been iced out of the Hall of Fame. Now, Robert Kraft has been in the mix for the Hall of Fame, but this was his first year as a finalist, and he did not get the 40 of the 50 votes that he needed. Here's his quick resume: 32 seasons as the Patriots owner, won a bunch of games, 20 division titles, pretty good. This is his 11th Super Bowl appearance, as Coach Mangini talked about, with his 3rd head coach. Got 6 wins, soon to be 7 Sunday night. Your reaction to this latest snub?
This has to be personal. I don't know what else it could be.
Maybe another
I know they
voting
wanted
quirk.
L.C. Greenwood and Ken Anderson, all those guys on Hall of Fame. But he's got the best resume of any owner in professional sports, I would say. I mean, you know, I'm not thinking about baseball, but the Patriots, I'm older than you. The Patriots were an afterthought before he got there.
Yeah.
They were just a team in the league. I mean, they got there one year. They Steve Grogan, I think, to the Super Bowl. Like,
got crushed. Got crushed
they
by the
were
85
they were nothing. I mean, honestly.
That's fair, yeah.
And he hires Bill Parcells. He hires Bill Belichick, who hadn't done nothing to make you think he was going to become a great coach. And now he hires Mike Vrabel. He's won 6 Super Bowls, as many as any other franchise. The Steelers, the only other one to equal 6. He's been to 11 himself, more than any other franchise. Like, and I know Belichick, I agree, if they wanted to keep him out for a year because of, you know, Spygate and all that, okay, fine. This guy's been eligible to be in the Hall of Fame for years, decades, and he's not. And you got somebody like Jerry Jones in there. So this makes me wonder, this clearly isn't we're punishing him for a year. So I can't think of one reason, unless they're going to keep Patriots out for Spygate, like all of them.
No,
like,
I think this is actually less objectionable, and I think it's actually a math problem, which is why I'm not as fired it up as everybody else. So buried in some of the Belichick reporting was someone saying he actually did only come 1 vote shy, that he was 39.
Belichick.
That you need 40. So here's why that's relevant. It's 50 guys. They all submit 3 names. So there's 150 votes possible. If Bill Belichick gobbled up 39 of them without getting in, there's now, you can do that math, only 111 votes to go around. We know a lot of these voters prioritized the players. So my guess is, what the details on this is, he probably came a few votes short. And I also think because once you get, if Belichick got in the 30s and didn't get in, you now don't have the requisite 120 votes needed to get 3 other guys in.
Yeah.
So Belichick will have missed, and no one will, you won't have a 3-person seniors class. I'm guessing the way this is going to end up is we are going to have a 1-person senior class because the voters didn't do a good enough job or whatever in figuring out who. Everybody split votes with everybody else is what I think happened. Yeah. So I'm guessing that some people voted for Belichick instead of Kraft. Some people voted for Kraft instead of Belichick. And those people voted for 2 players, a lot of them. And then none of them got to the 40 votes needed.
But what about previous years?
Well, they changed the process on it. So, like, it didn't used to be you nominated 1 contributor, 1 coach, and 3 players. And so previous years, I'm not quite certain, if I'm being totally fair, the reporting from people around the Hall of Fame said he was en route, and then he had his incident in Florida, and that put him on the back burner. And so that happened. Now this was going to be his moment. And
that was a few years ago.
That was years ago. And so I think he will eventually get in.
He's got to.
All the more momentum for my idea. You could put Kraft and Belichick and Gronk, let Brady go in a year early, put them all in together next year, and if Vinatieri, Richard Seymour, and Rodney Harrison can get in as well, you can have an all-Patriot class and make up for all of this next year.
Sam Darnold has had a clean playoffs so far, but he did lead the league in turnovers this year. Patriots defense has forced 8 turnovers these playoffs. Led the NFL in turnovers before making the Super Bowl in the last 30 years. It's Eli and Sam Darnold. So heck,
Bad news for you, buddy.
Right.
How'd that one
I guess that's a good thing.
That is not good.
Coach, you trust Sam Darnold to have a clean game?
No, I don't trust Sam Darnold to have a clean game. I think that he's going to have an opportunity. I hope he does, because I love his story. But I do think that New England brings a lot of different looks, a lot of different packages, game plan specific things. They're going to do a good job of disguising, and they're going to force him to make post-snap decisions. So it's going to come down to how well he can assess what they actually are in after the snap, and that creates great opportunities for him, because there's going to be times where guys aren't in the exact spot they need to be, and if he can take advantage of it, there's chances for big plays, but there's also chances for New England to generate huge plays, either with strip sacks, interceptions, all those things that come with forcing a quarterback to make post-snap decisions.
Yeah, look, I think he can play a game where he doesn't throw an interception. But like you said, you saw the turnovers. It was 20, I think 14 interceptions and 6 fumbles. So I think a key is the pass rush. So if he's fairly comfortable, then I think he can play a clean game. But if they can get enough of a rush, and they've been great in the postseason with the pass rush, if they can pressure him and get him uncomfortable, then either an interception or 2 or a fumble should be on the table for him. But the interceptions, I do think he can be clean in there, because if you look at, he had 14 interceptions, as I said. 6 of them were against the Rams.
In 2 games.
And 2 games. So if you take out those 2 regular season games against the Rams, in his 17 games this year, the other 17, he's only had 8 interceptions. And so I think that he can play a clean game if they give him a little protection. The key is the fumbling, though. I'm worried about.
I hate but respect the Seahawks' difficulty with the Rams. It just makes it very difficult. Like, just take out these Rams games, and Sam Darnold's better, and the defense is way better. It's interesting that they've had such a problem with the Rams.
There's a prolific quarterback they're facing, and the defense.
Yeah,
I get it, but
they
that
did go
doesn't explain
2-1 against them.
Yeah.
They had a ton of trouble, statistical trouble with them, and listen, they only lost 3 times all year. One of them was to the Rams, and they could have gone 0-3 against them.
Yeah.
They could have. In theory, could have gone 3-0 against them. But yeah, the Rams, and there is less of a if Matt Stafford did it against the Seattle defense, why can't Drake Maye? Less of that applies to the Rams defense and the Pats defense. Because the Pats defense is better than the Rams defense. Why did they? You're definitely gonna hate my answer to this, and you might hate my answer to this.
Me and Coach are in lockstep, so I'm gonna whatever Coach says, I agree.
Despite the fact that Darnold's thrown like his last 100 passes or something without throwing a pick, somewhere around there.
Last 3 games.
Yeah, 107.
Oh no, I swear, I just didn't.
3 straight games.
I didn't cheat off your paper, buddy.
How'd you even know it was on my paper?
You just asked me if I cheated off your paper.
Good question.
I don't trust him to have a clean game. I don't trust Drake to have a clean game. And I don't think it necessarily matters, because there are only 2 teams in the league all year who are totally equipped and totally used to winning games when their quarterback turns it over multiple times. And they are the 2 teams playing in this game. 2 teams all year with a winning record, and the 2 teams with the most wins when their quarterback has 2+ turnovers. It's these 2 teams. The Seahawks are 5-1 when their quarterback turns it over multiple times. The Patriots are 4-1 when their quarterback turns it over multiple times. So for one reason or another, both of these teams, probably because of how well-rounded they are, well-coached they are, they have been able to overcome more than any other team in the league by a lot. And no other teams above 500, and no other team has more than 3 wins. Both these teams are well above 500 and more than 3 wins in that circumstance.
Who have I compared Drake Maye to?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. They both have that potential to spiral, and they both have that potential to have really impressive big games. And that's my question with Sam is if something happens early, is it going to be like that Rams 1 game where it goes to 4 picks? Does he spiral, or is he able to, okay, take a step back, go, recoup, and then go back out and play the next series? And to some degree with Drake, it'll be the same thing. That the moment, especially early in the Super Bowl, the tension of the early part of the Super Bowl is real. And then once you get through that initial part of it, then it settles down. You're just back into a regular game. So it's.
So I assume Josh knows that, right? That this is like Josh's 9th Super Bowl, I think.
Yep.
That Josh is accounting for how nervous Drake is going to be early in the game. Just from the Denver game, he didn't play great, obviously, and I do think some of it was nerves. But to win the game, he's like, you know what? I'm going to call my own number here and get the first down and send us to the Super Bowl. So I saw a nervous guy early in the game, and late in the game, I saw like
he didn't really
Except
call
we know he didn't call his own number.
No, so
Josh McDaniels called his
Well,
number.
still,
But this is what we always do in that situation is you don't tell anybody else. So when you're on the headphone, you tell the quarterback, hey, look, call this play. Don't tell anybody you're going to keep it. Just tell them. We're running.
So wait, that's been done before?
It really
Yeah,
was a
It
non-story.
wasn't invented by Josh McDaniel and Drake Maye.
but what I'm saying is-
we're not sending that ball to Canton.
No, they
But
made
what
it
you-
right. They made it out to be
But what
like,
you-
oh my God.
What
pretty
you,
good.
what you always do-
never with a young quarterback.
You've seen Tom do it. You've seen different guys do it over time. So the whole deal is you don't want anybody else to know because you want them to sell out on the play that's being done because that's the most effective way to get the defense to bite. So you're just in the headset. You're like, you're going to keep this, but tell everybody else we're running this play.
I would still feel some kind of way if I was on the offensive line.
Because they're
I would have done my job regardless. You
Yeah.
can tell me.
Yeah.
I wanted to
They're
know.
basically saying you're no Jackson Blade.
Wow,
we can't
yeah.
trust you to
Jackson
act.
Blade could do
Yeah.
it.
Another point in Seattle's favor.
Thank you.
What
I
was
thought
it?
Drake had come up with some fantastic
Oh
play
my
on his
goodness.
own. It's just
Tell him the
mundane.
headset.
The Bills have a new coach. They also have a new offensive philosophy. An article by Tyler Dunn on golongtd.com outlines what looks to be a more aggressive offensive approach from the new Bills coach. Against elite quarterbacks, McDermott would stress the need to possess the ball and play keep away. Now, Brady was a good soldier who respected his boss. He surely remembered how he got the OC job. McDermott fired Ken Dorsey because he believed Dorsey's balance was out of whack. Brady also did not demean or criticize McDermott, okay? Don't think he demeaned or
It
criticized.
sounds like Joe Brady was a source for this story.
But it was
he
clear
talked with Brady and
Yeah.
Brandon Beane.
he would have called a few games differently if he was in charge. So are you expecting a more aggressive Bills offense, or just your reaction to this blurb?
No, I think you will. And at this point, and we're going to talk to Josh in about 45 minutes, I'm going to ask him this. I have in the past pushed back on the Josh Allen, Brett Favre comps because up until a year ago, Josh hadn't won an MVP. Favre won 3 in a row. Josh still hasn't been to a Super Bowl. Favre went to back-to-back and won one. But stylistically, I do understand the comp. Now, Favre was not as devastating a runner as Josh, obviously, but in order to get the best Brett Favre, you had to accept some of the worst Brett Favre. And I think you saw the playoff game they just lost, 4 turnovers is you can't overcome that. But they were in position to overcome
They
3
could've
of them.
won.
When he was sitting at 3, they were with the ball in overtime. And one of those 3 was an outrageous mistake. Like that, it doesn't have to be a part of anything. I just think trying to put a governor on Josh Allen, unless Brandon Beane over the next offseason or 2 is able to build a far better supporting cast where it's like, oh, we have a great roster. And so, but I don't see that for Buffalo. So I do think you have to lean into your biggest strength, which is Josh Allen's ability to make magic. And I don't think Coach he's ever going to be this cautious surgeon of a quarterback.
Look, I hate this quote. Against elite quarterbacks, He made him play keeper weight. What a terrible idea by a head coach. Against elite quarterbacks, he made him play keeper weight. What were their stats? They were 1 in rush yards, 4th in total yards, 4th in points. Terrible offense. 4th in points, 15th in passing yards. Oh, okay. How did he win the MVP? What was the reason Josh Allen won the MVP? He cut back on his turnovers. I don't think that's some subjective, crazy idea that I had. That was pretty well documented that everybody said, okay, he was able to cut back his turnovers, and it made a big difference. So now, because they're going to take the governor off him, because McDermott did such a terrible job trying to keep elite quarterbacks off the field, when defensively they were 28th against the rush, 12th in points per game, 7th in yards per game, and 1st against the pass. So the defense did have some struggles. So the idea of supporting the defense and playing complementary football, that's the reason why you fire a guy. To me, that makes total sense why you'd get rid of a guy, because he tried to play complementary football and win games from a holistic approach. And you make a decision because a catch wasn't a catch and guys were crying in the locker room and now you're justifying it? Like, come on.
I mean, look, they were struggling. I think they were 500 when Brady took over for Dorsey, and then they played great football from that point on. But the last 2 years, Josh has thrown it the least of his whole career, other than his rookie season.
Yep.
Last year, he was 16th in the league in attempts. So, and his touchdown percentage has remained fairly, and interception percentage are pretty close to what they were when he was throwing it a lot more before Brady took over. So what I would do, I would be willing to try it, Coach. I mean, I would be willing to see, can we get more out of Josh? Because those years that he was throwing 15 interceptions a year, he was also throwing nearly 40 touchdowns too. So, and they obviously were successful those years too.
But you do it even with that receiver that they didn't want to draft?
Keon,
you throw it with that guy that they didn't want to draft?
Bean's quote,
McDermott forced him to draft that guy.
Bean said that he has to go out and get the horses to support what Brady wants to do, which presumably means you're going to get a legit number 1 receiver.
Well, he's gotten those 2 Pro Bowlers out of the 52 picks or whatever it is. So
pretty high. Coach, I hear you're against, Bean.
I'm just saying, like, don't try to justify a decision after the fact and kill a dude for trying to play complementary football.
They were being respectful, Coach.
It's that being respectful.
Brady was
He was a good soldier.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.